I'm Daniel Rachel. I'm here with Rankin Roger from The Beat to talk about his new book, My Life in the Beat, I Just Can't Stop It. There's a great story that you tell when I asked you about how you became the person you became, and you talk about a vision at 13 years old.
Yeah, that's right. Which I did have a vision, and I'll never forget it to this day. The vision was I could see myself bowing to an audience, a full house. It wasn't as big as the roundhouse.
Your great success in 2018.
Right, yes. Yeah. But it was like a 500 or 700 kind of seater. I remember it being oval, the room, and it looked really, glorious, that kind of thing. And I didn't hear any sound from what I'd done, but I just knew at the end of it, I was getting enough applauses, from the people that were cheering. And I didn't know what it was, but I thought, you're going to have to be a musician or an actor. That's what I could do both, but I stuck to the music, and that's probably what it was. I mean, people would say I was mad, but it didn't. It was a vision I had at 13, and I saw that vision. It was in my sleep, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, because you don't have an easy time at school, and there's two things going on here. One is you tell the story of how you're treated at school, and there's a brilliant anecdote which perhaps you'll reflect on, is when you go back. Yes. That dream that so many kids have,
yes,
saying, I wish I could go back to my old school just to put them in their place, and you do that.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time as you're schooling, you're listening and being hugely influenced by records, learning your trade. Is this right? By emceeing along to other people's records, but with original ideas.
Yes.
Could you tell us about those two incidents?
Whoa. Well, the part about learning the trade is, the fact that I went to a Catholic school, and, I was heavily influenced by reggae, and they were influenced by punk, and we both we didn't cross lines, but they got into my music and I got into their music. And found that a lot of the things what the Rastafarians were saying was the same as what the punks were saying, merely the same equivalent of oppression, and being downtrodden. And, they could get it, and I could get it, and that was something that made me think, well, I'd love to be in a band where that music was merged, it'd be the proper thing to do. And that's what first got me interested in music, because I feel that I had a journey to finish. I hadn't even started it yet, but that was an idea. Nobody else was doing that at that time. And the first I heard was the Specials doing their Gangsters Out, and it was kind of ska punk.
And you almost MC'd, didn't you, with the Specials? Or that you tried to, didn't you?
I tried to, yes, in Cannon Hill Park, and that was almost when they were, just started. Obviously, they'd played the gig, and I think the walls came tumbling down there too, because a wall did collapse.
Horace's bass blew him down.
We'd never seen anything like that before. It was almost electric. And obviously I went on stage and I was just about to grab the mic and the song finished. I was like, oh, but I think they would have let me. Because, they seemed like a friendly, down-to-earth, just skanking playing music, we were all in the same boat.
And of course you'll read later in the book about how the Beat and the Specials do play gigs together. Particularly, there's a great section on the Irish tour. But just to backtrack just for a second, so what happened when you go back as an adult to your old school, which what you were alluding to is it was predominantly Irish kids, wasn't it? And there was a couple of teachers that kind of saved your bacon, really, but there was a lot of teachers that had not treated you well.
So some teachers.
You rock up in your first car, don't you?
Yeah, right? But it was only like a mini, I think it was, but it was but I was you know, I was there.
Yeah.
And I parked in the car park, and with the staff car park, and I just went in all boisterous, and you know, just as soon as I reached the front, you know, by the front glass, there was loads of kids walking towards me, and you know, they're calling my name, Charlie, Charlie, you know what I mean? It's him, you know, and I think I humbled myself even around the horriblest of the teachers. I humbled myself. And I thought, this is good, because, you know, you thought I'd be ending up sweeping the streets because you told me I would end up doing so. And yet I can come here and not boast about what money I had or anything, but just what I'd achieved, you know, something fantastic. It isn't like we'd had 2-3 hits by then. You know, so it's
the
like...
pop star comes back.
It's really good to go in, you know, and they were shocked. But, you know, the thing is, it was so chaotic that I never went back there again.
But the shock is that you don't take your exams and you leave school early at 15, and you end up in a kind of a trust, a kind of a halfway home. And there's a very, very touching story of that you describe the conditions that you're in. You've been kicked out of home, you're out of school, you're in this kind of one single room, you've had a bit of trouble with the police, and there's a very touching moment. You're now kind of a member of the beat, and one night after something or other, Dave Wakeling is taking you back on the back of his motorbike and comes in and sees the conditions that you're living in.
Yes, indeed. And I was living in a shaped trust housing, and I was actually 16 when I left home. It was the day I was 16, the 22nd of February. That's when I left home. You know, Dave come to see where I lived and ended up taking all my stuff, and we went to, he had a flat in Moseley on Park Road, and he says, stay here, you know what I mean? And I was, you know, really happy having his front room. Yeah. You know, for 6 months, you know, so that was really decent of him, you know. And
it's very symbolic of something that emerges out of your story, which is very unusual for reading music autobiographies, is the camaraderie amongst the members of the beat, and the way you are with one another and look out for each other is something really quite special in a very turbulent political time.
I look out for all the old members of the beat, even Dave Wakeling. If I thought there was danger to him, I'd let him know, you know, and we still all have business with each other, you know, in these 40 years after. We still sell beat records. And that's amazing. People only sell records for the first 5 years, but we've continued selling all through the generations. And of course, different formats. People go from, you know, vinyl to MP3, and, you know, there's no cassette anymore, you know, and so you have to upgrade, and so they do. But yeah, the camaraderie was brilliant, and the only, well, I won't say the only other person, but another band I like, which had that camaraderie, but not as good as the Beat, were the Clash, because they all, you know, if one member got hurt, you've hurt the whole shabazz.